The apes have a new kingdom. The X-Men need a lot of help. And there's a whole bunch of geek news to get to. Welcome back to season 6 of Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture, because those other shows, they not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Anyway, welcome back. As you can see, it's been you're catching the tail end of another episode of Hip Hop Nation. And joining me today are my co-hosts, Matthew Aguilar and Janelle Wheeler. What's up, guys?
Hey, everybody.
Oh my God.
We
I
won't
wish
reveal.
we had a hip hop podcast for me to listen to because I don't know anything about it, but you two are amazing. Plus Richard.
Oh yeah,
Our
Richard's in the
yeah.
background.
Yeah.
But we'll save it for the Patreon. Yeah, we'll reveal our takes on the Drake Kendrick beef and who won in a special Patreon coming sometime later. For this show today, as I teased at the start, we are going to be reviewing the new film Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We got to talk about part 2 of the X-Men 97 finale and a crazy bunch of geek news hit that has us all debating life itself, including a new look at the first look at the official Superman costume from Jame Gunn's Superman movie, Lord of the Rings movie none of us really expected to get. And we got to talk about Disney and what they're doing with the MCU. So let's jump into it. Guys, I want to just kind of ask you guys the question. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting messages. Work is messaging me as I'm doing this live show. It's welcome to Comic Book. Yes.
It never ends.
No, it doesn't.
It
So
doesn't.
first up is Matt. Matt has our first segment. So take it away, Matt.
Yeah, so James Gunn did us a solid before the show. Revealed our first look. He's already revealed our first look at the Superman S. We got a little brief glimpse at the costume, right? But now we have our first official full-on look at the Superman costume. A bunch of crazy stuff going on in the background, which we'll get to in a minute. But this is just the full-on look. You can see there, he's putting his boots back on. There's some battle damage on the suit, right? And he's probably gonna go right back out to fight whatever that thing is out there. We have some ideas, and then some of the big takeaways, right? Are there's a lot of conversation going on about this suit. We've got a mix of New 52 with classic vibe. The trunks are back, the gold belt's back, but then we got the high collar, and so there's a lot going on here. Before we get to the background stuff, though, just on the suit, what are you guys feeling about the costume itself?
Oh, grenade time. Man, I don't give an F. This is all getting crazy. Maybe I've just didn't die the hero, so I lived long enough to become the villain. But I think I've done too many of these superhero movies. I started in this biz with Justice League Mortal. That was like one of the first things I got in this business for. So I've done everything about costumes for that and who's playing who. I was there for the first day of Henry Cavill's bank vault scene when he slammed into the bank vault, and the colors or the lack of colors. I did that whole thing, the Ben Affleck Batman reveal, the Wonder Woman image. Like, I done it all. And DC has been, oh my God, I've done all of this. So maybe I've just lived long enough to become the villain myself. Okay. I saw this and I didn't zoom in. That wasn't my first reaction. And I think it's the reaction that I'm beginning to realize is the error with these photos that we get. Like, I didn't look and go, okay, what does the costume look like? What does the lining look like? None of you Target, Filene's Basement, TJ Maxx shoppers are fashion experts. And I'm not insulting those places because I'm going there and Goodwill.
I was like, what's wrong with
get my Macklemore? I'm going to get my Macklemore on at Goodwill. It's right up the street.
I shop at Ross, son. It's on.
But I don't come out thinking like I'm the next Project Runway host. You know what I mean? Like, chill. You don't know costuming. You don't know fashion. Like, everybody chill. I get it. You can have an opinion. Fine. Congrats. I just kind of mainly focused in on like, okay, what is this photo as a whole meant to kind of evoke, and what is it kind of saying, and how is it telling me what kind of film Jame Gunn's making? you go back now and you look at the Henry Cavill photo and you just, get out of film Twitter for a minute, stop worrying about the colors and stuff. And that photo did kind of implicate everything that Zack Snyder was going to be doing, right? This was a moment where Superman was not strong. He was not like, all heroic. He was down bad, getting his butt kicked into something. And we later found out that that was very much a kind of a theme of this movie, right? It was him learning to be Superman and in a very imperfect stage, for better or for worse. So what I saw in this photo is kind of, somebody who's clearly already been through some stuff, but the work is not done and he's got to put his boots back on, but he's kind of like, it's almost like an average Joe. It's kind of like you put your boots on one boot at a time, and he's getting back out there because obviously there's still a problem to solve in Metropolis. And I kind of liked that germ of an idea of like Superman being this guy trying to be a regular guy, but having to do all these very irregular, extraordinary things constantly. But for him, it's not like that, right? Like, that's not him. He's not like, I am God, I protect Metropolis. He's just trying to, put out his article. Clark Kent's trying to get that article and make that deadline, but oh crap, there's a floating, eye in the sky and somebody's got to deal with this. And his super suit doesn't even look like it's been cleaned up since the last thing. And that's kind of an interesting take. So I looked at the whole photo. I know that I'm rare and, I'm probably already getting dragged in comments and whatnot. I haven't switched over yet. Oh, yeah, there we go. Why is Kofi being so down on people having an opinion on the suit? LOL, we're excited. Yeah, so yeah, I'm already getting dragged to the comments now that I switch over. But yeah, that's just the way I felt. It gave me a sense of what is James Gunn's Superman. No, I'm not. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I can't do the zoom in. Let's look at the fabric design. Oh my God, it has a collar. Oh my God, it has lines in it. Oh my God, like I can't. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
So, because number one, I have to apologize to Nell for hurting her eardrums with my Ross versus TJ Maxx thing there.
Oh
So,
no, I am all about
for...
Ross and TJ Maxx, so you can scream about it. I was literally at TJ Maxx yesterday.
How do you think I had that list? Come on now.
So sorry about that.
And I know my Nordstrom racks. Shh.
I think we
Goodwill in the fancy neighborhood. I know all.
I understand it.
With me, shorty.
I understand it because I'm in the same place. We've had this discussion on here before when it comes to the MCU. I'm to that place there with the Easter eggs and the cameos and the this person's here and that's a reference to this. I don't care about any of that stuff anymore because the product has gone on to define itself by, hey, this is stuff I want to watch. I want it to be good. And so I don't care. Like, the carrots aren't enough anymore. You have to back it up. And so that's how I've kind of been a little harsher on the MCU over the past year or two for kind of leaning into that too much sometimes and not just giving me, stories that I really want to come back to and think. So I understand. It's not that you're not excited because I get it. Like, my first thing is not to, I kind of take just like an overall view and then I still get excited, but like, I don't necessarily, harp on every single thing because I have been burned by that too many times. It has been one of those things where like we've seen great movies that have not had great first looks or have been very divisive. And we've seen fantastic costumes and movies that I don't want to go back and rewatch. So that doesn't necessarily define what something's going to be. So I always take these things with a grain of salt. Before I launch into other things though, Janelle, you've been on this DC roller coaster with us for a bit, and this really is kind of the start of something new, right? A new era. How are you feeling about this image, the suit overall?
Well, I'll start by saying I think my brain is really having a hard time forgetting Cavill because as soon as I saw this, I was like, "Is that Oh no, that's not him." Like, chill out, Janelle. It's okay.
You weren't the only one. There were a lot of that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very reminiscent. Like the hair, everything kind of just I don't know. It actually it was kind of bittersweet because I genuinely it's hard for me to let go. That's really the only thing I have held on to throughout this entire journey is like Cavill. So, but I will say that I honestly, first impression, it looks like two different costumes, top and bottom. Like it just the juxtaposition of like turtleneck, almost even like bunchy top and really tight, like with the shorts and everything. The juxtaposition isn't playing out well for me personally, but this is one picture, right? It's
Right.
battle worn a little bit. I'm going to give it, its moment. I'm not going to judge it based on this. I think the positioning is weird. I would have liked to have seen him in more of like a dominant position to actually be able to see what it all looks like. But listen, we take whatever we can get. This is exciting. But if we are like trying to really analytically like break down this costume, this isn't the best image for that, I don't think, because it's half of it's blocked by his arms. He's folding over. Like it's more about the feeling, I think, that the overall image gives us. And we're gonna get into that. But yeah, I'm less
Yeah.
about the costume in this, more about like what is everything else going on.
Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
Kofi on that too. Like, I think it's a feeling. I think it nails that. I think there's a vibe to it. It's
Totally.
one picture. He's sitting like, yeah, there's a lot of things that,
Yeah,
you
it's
know, I
not a
think there's also a
costume.
lot said.
It's
Yeah.
clearly not a
Mhm.
costume highlight. Like
Yeah.
a costume test or presentation photo is lit differently. It's clearly focused to show you every aspect of the costume. This is, like you said, he's hunched over. People are like, it doesn't look like it's form fitting. What looks form fitting when you're hunched over pulling on your shoes? I can tell how young some of you are because, as I say often, getting older is just an exercise of realizing how much harder it gets to get your socks and shoes on every day. That's
Or
how
when you're
you know you're
pregnant.
getting older. Yeah, or you're pregnant.
God, I can't
Yeah.
get my shoes on.
Yeah.
It sucks.
You like you know you're getting older because getting down to those socks and getting those shoes on
Oh my
sometimes
God.
feels like you're lightheaded and you're like, "Oh my God, please, like why?" So
But his
nobody
hair's
looks good.
fabulous.
Yeah, hair fabulous,
Yeah,
but like
Loving that
nobody
hair.
none of us look good
Ugh,
when we're all like,
he's so
"Ugh,
pretty.
scrunched, like,
I
"Ugh,"
mean,
you know, like
he's a beautiful Superman. I
yeah.
mean, I love this so far.
So
Um
that
so
brings
like
us
yeah,
to the
the vibe.
background.
Yeah, and I was gonna
Yeah,
get I was gonna ask you, can we get nerdy now? Can we get super nerdy? Matt,
So
what do you got? Do you got Brainiac or do you have Solaris? Because this is kind of an important thing.
yeah, the purple automatically makes you think Brainiac, but Solaris is the one that I really think it's leaning closer to because it ties into James Gunn has been very much All-Star Superman. This is the feel we're going for, cites the book directly. And if you're dealing with that, then those who have read it, and I won't go into like crazy spoilers about like what happens at the very end of that book, because I actually do want to do a deep dive here where we kind of go back and read that and stuff. But essentially, he plays that this character, the Tyrant's son, plays a huge part in the finale of that book and part of a plan that Lex has put in place in that particular thing to kind of take away Superman's powers. And so because of this, it is like this giant sun looking eye thing. It's an orb, right? That looks very much like an orb there. You're also dealing with the fact that it's not just there. DC 1 million, Solaris also plays a part in that, and that's actually a much more focused story about the character. And again, not going into like spoiling exactly how that plays out, a Green Lantern ring is involved in that storyline, and Superman actually defeating or trying to attack him with a Green Lantern ring. If you notice, there's a green spot on the orb and a green beam that's going off from the thing. We already know Nathan Fillion is in this movie as Guy Gardner. So a Green Lantern ring and a power source playing a part directly in the story, they're going to pick and choose elements from all of it. So it very much kind of leans towards Solaris and that being a pivotal character. Doesn't mean Brainiac's not involved. Doesn't mean Lex plays a huge part in certain things.
Yeah.
So I just think like that alone is exciting. Of course, that's exciting for me. I know I'm biased. Anytime you put a Green Lantern in anything, I'm going to get excited. But I just, that alone and all of that. So having this giant thing in the background, having Soups here looking like, you know, looking tired a little bit, looking a little worn, but like, all right, let's go do this. That's a cool, I like that tone. And also too, I mean, for those looking at it, it's not a costume photo, but you can also see in the pants, as Janelle pointed out, the blue's lighter right? It's a lighter blue there. You can see certain things if you look. The New 52 lines, those were divisive when New 52 came out. There's a lot of things about the New 52 I actually dig. Okay, so if we want to get into that whole
Was not
bag
the
of
worst
cats.
reboot at all. Come on.
So
Yeah, people.
I like the collar. We're going back to a classic gold belt, like the red belt and stuff without the trunks. I dig that look. Like there's things about the New 52 aesthetic that I like, and I like the Gunn is pulling from there and also combining it with classic elements. That Kingdom Come Superman logo, okay, that's a straight up Kingdom Come Superman logo, just now instead of the black it's gold. Like there's a lot going on here, and you can really tell like Gunn is picking and choosing from all spaces within the Superman mythology, and that excites me, man. That means he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Final question. Like Janelle picked up on the pants and stuff. Gunn is also knows fandoms. He knows Twitter. He knows this game. Do you think this is misdirection? Do we get a shirt change? Are we seeing him change from like that New 52 suit into more of a classic Superman suit? Because the trunks and the lighter color pants suggest it could be. And the suit, I mean, I don't see Superman going out without the right fit to go into battle. So, like, yeah,
That's
are we going to see?
interesting. I
Are
mean,
we
to
going to see
think
a
of
shirt
that,
change?
Kofi.
Yeah, you don't know
Whoa.
where this scene takes place, right?
No.
You have no idea. So yeah, he could be, all right, hey, this thing's been through some fire. Let me go put on a new suit.
And yeah, and
shiny
if
new
we're
suit,
talking
whatever.
about All-Star Superman, he could be coming out looking a lot more Moon Knight in like a hot minute in there. So we'll see. But I think Gunn is a master of misdirection. I also think it's Solaris. I think Solaris is something we haven't seen. We know from Starro, James Gunn likes a big kaiju style thing, and he understands
He did
movies.
Starro right.
Yeah. And he also did, to your point, I didn't even connect those dots, but he did tweet out recently that cryptic photo of a Green Lantern ring being held in the air. So who knows? Maybe we were getting this photo ready. So, oof. All right. Yeah. Some people say this is going to be the suit. I don't know. I think Gunn likes to mess with us. So we'll see. All right. We spent a lot of time on this. Let's keep it moving. So my thing that's next up is the new Lord of the Rings movie that none of us kind of, really expected. We knew we were going to get some more Lord of the Rings movies. But did we expect Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum? It's going to be directing and starring Andy Serkis, which is, awesome. And yeah, this is going to be, it's going through Peter Jackson and that team again. And yeah, my precious. That's pretty good. Oh my God. That's so creepy. So we're going to be following Gollum and going to do that. I think the questions that I put in here are, do you guys think Gollum can carry an entire movie? That was the first question. And I had a very honest, because we are Comic Book Nation, we keep it raw and real here. Do you guys think Lord of the Rings is cooked as a franchise? Like, honestly, like, I know it's early. I know we should all be like, Gollum, and get excited, but do you guys think this is cooked as a franchise in terms of like the idea that you can make this a franchise universe? Because I don't know, man. I feel like few of the games have hit. The Hobbit was kind of a disappointment. Rings of Power isn't, what I think Amazon wanted it to be. And there's already kind of a lukewarm reaction to this idea. And Andy Serkis's Gollum was like the strongest thing you had in that franchise. Can you really make a universe out of Lord of the Rings?
I mean, the Gollum thing is if they give me like his backstory, like when he might have been a little bit more like lovable and like I don't know, just more than what he is now. Because like I love what the role that he played and what he represents and who he is, but like if this is him going on an adventure or something, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm good. But if I think that if there's like a backstory, I think it would have been a cool series to kind of show like how he became what he is. But I don't know anything about this, so I'm just looking at this picture and I'm like, I don't know if I can look at that for a real long time. I mean, I was never the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I will say, it's not that I didn't like it. It's that I came in late. I was late to the party. I didn't get to go to the theater for the first 2 films, I think. And so I had to play catch up, and I loved it, but I clung to like Legolas and like other characters a little bit more than Gollum. So cautiously optimistic, but if they think they're going to be like, if it's going to hit like the original, no, it's not. It's just not.
I mean,
it's
it's
really
called
bad timing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called The Hunt for Gollum. So it suggests there are going to be other characters looking for Gollum. And
Okay.
we have to presume if he's Gollum at this point, then it's
Yeah.
years after he's taken the Ring of Power into seclusion and has been hiding out, but before Frodo kind of finds him and they get on to what is Gollum's last adventure. Spoilers for 20-year-old
Hey.
movie, but like so there's got to be some kind of interquel in there, right? Like some other people went looking for Gollum and it got
Mhm.
weird.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, as someone who isn't as knowledgeable about like the LOTR mythos and stuff. So is that based off of anything, or is that like completely original?
I don't look. I do not say jack-ish about Tolkien because there are scholars. Okay, there are Tolkien scholars, and I do not mess with those people because
I don't blame you. I don't. That's why I just say
I
I'm
get it.
inexperienced. I don't know.
yeah,
I came in
I could
late.
talk about Star Wars because I don't have to face that many Star Wars PhDs in the street. There are quite a few Tolkien scholars in the street, so I'm not going to get into that. All I'm going to say is my loose knowledge of the books and the movies. From the Lord of the Rings movies, they show you Smeagol's background and him killing his best friend, and for the ring. And we know he goes off after that. And we know the ring gave him extended life and kept him alive for a long time. And he just got more and more crazy and Gollum-y. And that's how twisted. And that's like the punishment of having that ring. And he dies at the end of Lord of the Rings. So that time period between when he wigs out and takes the ring and when he is found by Frodo, or in between when Bilbo and Frodo find him, presumably there's somebody else looking for the Ring of Power and tracks it down for Gollum. And by the end, I'm pretty sure he murks those people. So it's kind of a weird horror movie thing. Like, who's a slasher? Because he probably tricks them into getting killed. And like he tries to do with Frodo and Sam.
Right.
Maybe they get eaten by the
And
spiders.
so you take care of any timeline issues or continuity issues because they're gone. And then okay, like number one, our
Who are
comments
we
are on fire
rooting
today.
Yeah,
for?
Stephen Prime. Can we get that comment up? Wow.
Like, wow.
That made me just stop the show.
There's a bunch in here, man. The last couple of comments, Gollum brought out the ace in everybody. Lord of the Rings, Chris Chipperson, Lord of the Rings, The Search for More Money. That's a good one.
Doubles as a Spaceballs reference too. So good money.
Yeah.
Good job on that. Double.
I just don't know. Like, are we going to root for him? Are we going to root for these other characters? And then are they just going to be gone? Like, that's
Right.
where I need to have some type of emotional connection to somebody. And so that's why like the backstory thing could have been cool, because maybe I'd like love him or something. But that's
and then
where
it's
I
like
am
a
a
tragic
little
thing.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about how they're going to make me like care.
I think it'll be some story about these people go hunting for Gollum. They find him. Gollum's like weirded out, but they kind of coax him back, and he almost for a minute kind of reclaims his humanity, so to speak. But the ring ultimately gets to him or to somebody else. And, it ends up he does a backslide and ends up back with it.
Which could be on its face. That actually doesn't sound like that actually could be intriguing. It's just, for me, this is really unfortunate timing because we just had a Gollum starring game that is now infamous because of just like how bad it was, how all the behind the scenes
Gollum.
Yeah, it's just like they just did this, you know what I mean? And it ended so badly for any number of reasons, right? But like the fact that it's like, oh, but now we're gonna where he's the main, he's like one of the main characters of our movie, and you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't think this is cooked because I don't think I always look at it as like it's a matter of time and it's a matter of creativity. And I think Lord of the Rings is at that point where I haven't seen anything that's been like the thing to reignite like my passion for the series. I don't doubt that it can be done though, but I feel like not enough time has passed. Like every time we're about to kind of maybe sort of get near it, a new thing is announced and brought out, and so then it just gets I get burned out all over again. Like I never actually have a chance to miss it. So I don't, that's how it kind of is for me. But you know, in 10 years from now, someone comes along, probably not Peter Jackson, probably not that same group, because it needs to be something new and fresh. And I feel like you probably need a new team to do that. Maybe they can deliver something different, but as it stands, like, you know, now I'm just not excited. And I think it's just recency.
Weirdly enough, I just talked myself back into it. So now I'm back in. Yeah, so that's the Gollum thing. You guys want to hear? There's crazy season 2 breaking news. You guys want to hear some of that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we didn't even add. Man, first of all, we did not even add to this rundown because so much has happened that we got Galactus in the MCU.
Yeah.
Ralph Ineson, who's one of my favorite actors. Go watch Witch with Anya Taylor-Joy. He plays the dad in that, I believe. Great voice, great actor. He is going to be Galactus. John Malkovich is in the movie. We don't know who he's playing.
Wow.
What's the other dude's name from the Richard Jewell, the guy who played Richard Jewell in that biopic? And he's in a bunch of comedy stuff. He's Hauser. What's his name?
Oh,
Paul Walter Hauser. Paul Walter Hauser is also in the movie in a mystery role. So there's been a ton of Fantastic Four news. Go check out Phase Zero on the Phase Zero feeds for all that latest MCU stuff. I'm pretty sure they're probably cooking up a show right now, if you know this place. So moving right along. Breaking news, it looks like Shogun is getting season 2.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Let's go.
Well, here's what's happened.
Okay.
Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays Toranaga, has definitely is in negotiations to lock down a deal to continue the series. Okay. Now, does that mean like there is speculation that this could be a move to get Shogun into the Emmys category for series instead of limited series by announcing a season 2 now? And, you know, whether that takes shape or not, you know, we see. So there could be some awards politicking going on here. But, you know, the other possibility is that it could be, you know, we could follow certain things or threads like Toranaga's character, who obviously has a much larger history in Japan. So we could keep going with that. But that's breaking news. That's kind of happening right now as we're doing this. Deadline is, reporting it. And it's also because Disney Hulu's kind of recognizing that it says other elements are still being worked out and deals are being finalized as part of an effort by FX to take Shogun to a second season in light of big commercial and critical success of the limited series.
Yeah, man. You know,
I told you.
Good reaction. Once you get a good reaction,
all
previous plans go out the window, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Midnight Boys and Van Lathan on the Midnight Boys, who also told you, because I listened to that podcast and he also told you. We both told you this is going to happen. I wrote the most Shogun season 2 articles and now it's paying off. All right. So Shogun, will it be good? I didn't say that. I just said it's happening. Okay. That's all I'm promising you. The other thing is another season 2 update is that Frank Grillo, who I have a long and funny history with going back to the Screen Rant days, who played Crossbones in the MCU, he was going to be joining the DCU and will be this year in the animated series Creature Commandos, where he voices Rick Flag Sr. Well, looks like John Cena's Peacemaker is going to have to deal with that because Frank Grillo will be the live action Rick Flag Sr. in season 2 of Peacemaker. So that's happening over there on the DC side. Frank Grillo will be appearing in Peacemaker season 2 as Rick Flag Sr., which gives automatically Creature Commandos and Peacemaker season 2 a big connective thread. Because Rick Flag Sr. is operational in World War II with all those crazy freaks. So that's pretty exciting. And I love Frank Grillo, and I cannot wait to see him and John Cena and the guy who plays like the rest of the cast of Peacemaker on screen together, because that's going to be funny. Frank Grillo, I know he plays a lot of serious, tough guys with New York accents, but Frank Grillo is funny. And Frank Grillo is kind of nuts, so it's going to be great. So that's the breaking news that we didn't even plan for in this show. Welcome to Comic Book Nation.
Unplanned news.
Janelle, we took some MCU
Yeah.
news for you, but there was another big discussion. I think we're going to probably have to cut down now, but
just brief.
what is Disney doing?
Just throw it. Well, it's basically, guys, we're getting less Marvel content. I feel like this is something we kind of knew for a while. Bob Iger revealed on a call that they're going to take the content way down. If you didn't know about this, like it's been a long time coming. I think a lot of people, even like super fans, are going, okay, this makes sense. It's justifiable. We've lost a lot of the quality due to quantity. Up, Kofi, like Janelle.
Wait, no, no. I saw no, that was a comment.
That comment hit.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even hear.
Let's see. What is it? What is this comment?
Stephen Prime was talking about our news segment, and Stephen Prime's up here. This must be. I hope you're a professional comedian, Stephen Prime. If you're not, you're missing out, because Stephen Prime said he was unplanned news for his parents, which ties back into so many things. Yeah, I'm just gonna sip this.
We love you guys chatting with us, by the way. Thank you. Like, I love being able to actually read the comments too. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
live show, baby.
Yeah, we love the live show, guys. Feel free to come by anytime and just say what's up. So anyways, this is we're slowly going to decrease the volume and probably go down to about 2 TV series a year instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output from maybe 4 a year to 2, or a maximum of 3, which is quite interesting because this year we only have the one cinematic release. So he's really taken this seriously. But obviously they're going to be gearing up for Avengers stuff. But overall, less content, more quality, I think, is what we're going for. And I'm okay with this. I'm a super fan, so I like a ton of content. Like, you guys already know my motto is like more content, but I understand where this is coming from. I don't feel shocked by this at all. And yeah, I feel like this is just kind of a bit of news that everybody saw coming. If you guys have any additional comments or opinions on it.
Well, I like to throw in questions now because I think it helps us, be different than just saying it's happening. Because and Phase Zero, again, we have a whole MCU show that breaks this stuff down. My question for you, which I ask the questions here that I don't think other podcasts or pundits are going to ask.
Yeah.
So let's see, is this bad or good? Shout out to my homie Rob Keys, who runs Screen Rant and a bunch of other stuff, and was one of the guys who helped me build Screen Rant, and hosted the Screen Rant Underground with me for many years, where one of our most violent and epic fights was about the MCU. Like, we did this in the 2010s, okay? So we're old. But back in 2010 to 2012, around that area, we had this epic debate about whether it was a good idea for Disney to own all of Marvel. People like me and Ben Kendrick were like, yeah, it's cool. Rob was animately against that. He was pro Fox, pro Sony, pro that whole setup. And his whole argument was that if Disney owned it, it would clog the pipeline and rank the characters in a way that we would get far less superhero content and far less range of who we got to see on screen. Because other studios would dip into their benches much deeper, because those are the properties and characters they had. Whereas Marvel, if they had, or Disney Marvel had everything, you're not getting a, for better or worse. And I know this is a bad example, but like Elektra would never even be considered for a movie, right? When all the characters are in one basket versus when Fox only has a certain range of characters, and Sony, Columbia, all that stuff. So now it's kind of feeling like Rob was right. And I hate to say that. I hate all these old podcast beefs that people still remember that I feel like I lose over time. But now it kind of feels like that's right. Like, we're going to get a slowdown, and yes, the quality of each will be better, but I think people haven't looked at that. Like, Matt's never getting this Cardiac movie at this rate. You know what I'm saying? And
I mean, I would give credence to that if Madam Web hadn't just come out. Like that, I don't think one is absolute or the other. I don't think one is completely true or the other. I think there's points in both of those arguments. But like when you go to your bench, you still have to make a good movie. And it doesn't matter who you have. You can make a bad movie with Superman and Batman. As we saw.
we've never seen that happen though.
Yes,
So,
we
you
have.
know,
We have. It even got an Ultimate Edition. So yes, you can do it. You can make a bad movie regardless of roster, of money, of license, and like I don't know, man. I do think there is a part of me that does think Marvel, less is more in its specific case, because you got to remember, not all of it is just because they got so popular that they just started making more. There was mandates in place. There was streaming that was all of a sudden needing to be funneled because of Chapek's large plan. Like there was so many other things that were in that. Their VFX has always been under fire, rightfully so. So like all of that stuff, if you put out less content, some of that stuff is going to get better just by nature. And so then it does ultimately matter if you make a good movie or not. But at the end of the day, like I do think this is a win. I think this helps. It also helps not dilute the pool. You get all that, superhero fatigue stuff. And I think a lot of that stuff is overblown. It's a genre like anything else. It'll go through its ebbs and flows. It's fine. But still, like not having, I think cutting it in half, essentially, I think that's a good thing. And I think for Marvel, it needs that to reestablish itself. And we could be looking next year and be like, MCU's back up and running and we're good. I think this is needed. I think this is a win to bring it down.
all right. Well, first of all, to answer the comments, no videotapes behind me. I had to return all my videotapes. Anyway,
Make sure
as
they're
our-
rewound. We love Blockbuster.
there's a stack of This is where I hide away. Unlike these guys, I don't build awesome display rooms. I have an upstairs room where I just shove things
I
into.
upgraded mine, by the way.
So, like, yeah, I got a whole stack of graphic novels. That's Secret Wars, The Long Halloween, Ultimates,
Yep.
Watchmen's
Nice.
over there. Yeah, I got a bunch of classics. March by the late John Lewis is over there. A bunch of film stuff. We got my scary Joker painting that nobody in my family lets me put up anywhere is over there. So yeah, there's just like, this is just my hideaway room. So yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Yeah, but Brywood did ask the one question. I said, but in this new format, do we have to worry about things? I put out a list like Agatha, Wonder Man, Moon Knight, the Marvel one-shots. Do you guys still think we're going to be getting this? Or do you think these will be things that like Iger and them come in and say, yeah, no.
I mean, I hope so. I don't want to lose Marvel really has like held me down through so much, and I really do look forward to the content. Like I do watch the behind the scenes stuff. I love What If and like animation stuff. I like it. I'm probably like more of a minority in that I really love a ton of content, but that's me being selfish, and I do want it. So
No, I shared the meme in our chat thread last week. I was like, that represents, I'm like, yeah, the Marge Simpson meme. I was like, this is perfect. I thought you would appreciate that one. I was like,
yes, I did.
Yeah. You think
Kofi
you're
knows me
neat.
very well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I hope that they still continue to do stuff. And I love the behind the scenes. Like I love the one shots. I love the like making ofs, and I don't know. I hope that we still get enough to
I'm worried.
appreciate us.
Ooh, for Black Marvel, I'm kind of worried. I'm sorry. I'm worried for Black Marvel. Ironheart, Armor Wars, these things sound like they are on the chopping block. So
No.
Blade's still out there, but
Okay.
Armor Wars, and yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know if it's gonna be our time,
Please
folks.
let Blade stay. Oh my god. I would be like,
Can we
devastated.
dump Wonder Man for one of those, please?
Yes.
Why the
yeah.
hell are we getting that series anyway?
But that's still Abdul Martin, man. Black Marvel.
We didn't need a
MCU is
Wonder
going
Man.
down bad.
Look, okay,
Ugh.
I want a cardiac movie, but I am not out here telling people that, oh man, it should come before 10, 20 other characters. Like, I'm at least realistic about like the fact that I love F-list characters. Now, there are other characters, way other characters that like should be ahead of Wonder Man. All right, like let's just be
agreed. Yeah. So some of this, that's why I'm like scratching my head. The fact that Agatha's still happening, Wonder Man, I'm like, some of these, I guess they're going to tie in some ways to some bigger things. But
Agatha made sense at one point in time. It does not anymore.
They should have taken advantage of that sooner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's really on. I don't think anything matters in this, except for these next 4 movies, really. Like Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four are going to be the real determination in all this. Output doesn't matter. None of that matters until we get back to something that matters at all. So we're not there right now. So I'm going to keep my eye on those 4 films over the next couple of years and see where we're at. But all right. Let's take a well-deserved break, and when we come back, we're bringing on one of our favorite, most specialist guests to help me review this new movie. What a wonderful day! Come back with us on Comic Book Nation. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. My co-hosts Matthew Aguilar and Janelle Wheeler are taking a well-deserved break because we have our man back in the building. It's Connor Casey.
What's going on, guys?
And he is not here to talk wrestling. Well, not typical human wrestling anyway. Today, we are talking about the wrestling of apes. And Connor was the other person besides me who got out to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this week and is here to help me break down this review. So, Connor, thanks for taking the time and hopping on and doing this with me.
Yeah, man. Really enjoyed this one.
Oh, well, I was about to say, let's get it in because I'm always interested to hear your taste because I never know where you're going to go. And like, unlike a lot of other crazy shows out there, we don't pre-plan all of this. Like, we just come on and see how everybody feels. Everybody gets to keep their cards close. So go off. How'd you feel about this one? Because this was a big challenge, right?
For sure.
Planet of the Apes trilogy was something special.
Yeah, and people don't talk about just how good that original trilogy was with the reboot. And I was worried when it came to this one just because you were losing Matt Reeves because he's obviously busy with Batman. It was a 7-year gap, and you didn't have Andy Serkis either on screen as Caesar or really behind the scenes. He was only kind of in a consultant role, and obviously the rest of the team was doing their own thing. But I was kind of blown away by how good this was. I thought that Wes Ball, who I did not know, I had not bothered with the Maze Runner movies. I thought he absolutely nailed it. I thought he did a great job with the world building and just how this world has evolved in certain ways since Caesar's death and in ways where it hasn't. And I thought that led to some interesting conversations and a couple of scenes where you're like, oh, wait, I caught that. Based on the reactions I've seen so far, it seems like people are split over whether or not the third act works. I feel like it kind of divides its attention between 2 main plot points, one being human related and one being Proxima Caesar. And I'm kind of in the spot where I thought the movie was hurt a little bit by that, especially Proximus. I wanted more of him on screen. But overall, I thought this was absolutely a worthy 4th installment. And I really hope they keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, so I'll say that, the first trilogy, again, not to date myself or talk about the past too much, was really significant for me because I started in this, at Screen Rant, and when they announced the first one and James Franco and all this, we were all like, what? Like, are you serious? Because the 2000s had tried to do so many origin stories and backstories and all of that. And everybody was kind of down on that at the time. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, I don't know about this. Like showing how the apes take over the world. Like, how do you go from standard world to that is a big jump. But Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I'm rewatching all 3 right now, did it masterfully and made Caesar like the center of it in a very personable story about who this character was. Then I'll never forget, because Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was like one of my first big access movies. And Matt Reeves was still young, and I got to have like a 30-minute conversation on our podcast which I say to everybody, go back and listen to, because you'll hear so much of Matt Reeves that you will be like, oh yeah, that's the guy that eventually came around and made like Batman.
Right.
And so like, yeah, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes just blew me away. That first opening thing with just the apes and Circus and everybody in that cast, and how that movie unfolded, and Toby Cabell as Koba, and that was insane. I didn't like War as much, but I think Dawn is like the pinnacle, is like your Empire Strikes Back of these, and like, yeah,
Right.
War was just a
War
good Return
didn't
of the
feel
Jedi.
like War didn't feel like it should have been the end of a trilogy. It felt like it was a stopgap for what would actually have been the ending, but then they
Yeah,
just moved on.
yeah, and so like that was but all in all, it was a great trilogy, and so it's a massive challenge to continue that, especially with the legacy of how these movies started to get as time went on, and the classic series started to get more and more absurd and stuff like that. So Wes Ball, I knew from the Maze Runner series, which I do suggest people go watch, because in terms of all these things, those YA books that became like the 2010s trilogy machine for everything, or stretching it out even longer than a trilogy, whether it was, the Twilight, the Hunger Games, what was the one that was really stupid, Divergent, like all like this. But the Maze Runner was kind of like gritty, and it made a lot of young stars, Will Poulter, Dylan O'Brien, Kara Scudero. I always mess up her name, but bunch of young stars. But those movies were all very competent, very well done sci-fi B movies, which I love a good B movie. And so I was confident that Wes Ball would be able to tackle this, but it was just about, can you recapture that magic? And while I don't think this is ever as great as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, like, this movie does enough to make me believe in this franchise again. Like this, and to your point, I think the biggest detriment of this movie is it knows it's already going to be a trilogy. And so this movie is just a setup of a larger story. This is like a very good pilot episode to like a longer Planet of the Apes, TV series or something.
Right.
But it's very well done. So that's the biggest drawback. And that third act is very much why it's split, because it's doing two things at once. It's ending this chapter, but clearly expanding the world and showing you this reveal of, the larger thing to come. But I agree, Proximus Caesar and Kevin Durant as Proximus Caesar is a highlight of this movie. All the actors are great, but Kevin Durant as Proximus is a definite highlight of this. And I wish that we did get more of him in the movie, because I think pacing is the other big problem of this movie. I got a little bored just in the middle, because it goes for a storyline about, people meeting each other that doesn't necessarily ever resolve or pay off in the most satisfying way than what we get when we finally do get to Proximus, who comes in pretty late in this movie.
Yeah, it takes like 80 minutes to get him in. And honestly, he's in it so infrequently. I almost thought they were setting him up as a recurring villain. Not going to spoil how the movie ends, but it's very clearly they're going off in a different direction aside from him.
Yeah.
So when you get these little details like, oh, he loves the Roman Empire, he's invoking Caesar's name, he's using apes together strong as like the catchphrase, he's using the same symbol as Raqqa, even they both don't quite understand the significance of it. There's so much there that I thought either make the movie about this or make the trilogy about this. And the answer seems to be neither, because we've got some other stuff, particularly with Freya Allen.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it gets a little wonky, is I feel like there was two different movies in there somewhere and they had to cut it together, but neither one of them is bad. I think it would just been too long. Like this could have been a 3-hour movie, like very easily, in three distinct things: the beginning with Noah's tribe, the middle with him and Freya and the other ape, and then the end part with the whole Caesar thing. And those each could have been, 40-minute sequences. So I get what they had to do, cutting it down. But we're just complaining that we didn't get more of the good stuff. The actual sequences, the tension, the mystery, the thrills, there's like edge of your seat stuff here. Like battles are scary, like stakes are real, like all of that is very real. And you care about these characters and you care about these apes and their relationships and like all that stuff. Like when Noah is a point with him and like friends and stuff that come back into the movie and you're like, oh, good. You feel for these, and this series has done the magic of making you feel for these animal characters. very much so. And yeah, it sets up interesting things. And I hope they bring Westball back and let him do another trilogy, because Maze Runner, they stuck the landing of that. It took a long time, but the middle one, Scorch Trials, was really good, and they ended up sticking the landing. So I think he can pull this off. And like you said, there's already so many interesting dynamics and themes in this that I want to see more.
Yeah, and on the subject of the apes, I didn't think you could make them look better than Circus had in that trilogy, but they somehow did. And there were times where it felt like it was a tech demo for, here's how the apes look like in water. Now here's how they look like in full daylight. Now here's at night. And the whole time it's like they're all moving and they've all got distinct characteristics and all the textures aren't popping in and out. You're like, how the hell do we keep getting better at this?
Yeah, it's fine. We gotten to the point that my eyes are starting to not even question it anymore. Like, I'm just believing I'm looking at apes. I'm not like, wow, look at these CGI apes. It's just like you said, they're so.
Well, that
like,
ape is on a horse. My eyes don't tell me otherwise.
That scene we just saw in the trailer, if you're watching the videos, like Noah wakes up in this very ashen kind of thing, and like you can just see the light touches of ash like on his fur, and it's crazy. So yeah, they've really done their thing. I never thought Planet of the Apes would be like that series to make a comeback, but here we are. All right.
One last thing, because it's the title that keeps coming up as this movie has been coming out, is how do you feel about the Legend of Zelda live action now that we've seen Wes Ball kind of knock it out of the park with something like this?
Oh, I was confident when, again, like he was, of all those YA adaptations I had to watch, besides Francis Lawrence, who is like way more experienced during the last two Hunger Games movies, Wes Ball was my favorite director, who like took on the whole trilogy. He didn't swap out. He finished that whole thing. So
Yeah.
I've rewatched the Maze Runner movies a bunch of times. I really enjoy them, and I think he's really hitting his stride. So I'm confident. And if he can do this with this level of CGI and stuff and you know, performance capture, like I'm really excited about that now. So yeah.
I'm sold, and I would not be shocked if Freya Allen is now in the running for Princess Zelda.
Yo, that's a yeah. Can we bring everybody back up real quick, Rich? Because let's give Matt and Janelle no more break. The one thing I will say about this movie was, oh my god, I don't know if I'm just at that like getting to dad place now, but I was like uncomfortable watching Freya Allen in some parts because she is very much like full woman lead in this movie and like very badass and sexy and all that. But I was like, oh my god, not the little Witcher girl, not the child that was promised. Like, oh my god, like I couldn't watch. I was like, oh man. Yeah, I'm just this the whole theme of this podcast is I'm getting too damn old. All right.
Siri
So
is I'm happy for her. I'm happy
she's a
that
star.
she's
Like, yeah, this is like she's a star in this movie. Like, and I mean, she's doing it in this movie. Like, you know, there's a lot of her doing a whole sequence of not talking and like, yeah. And then by the end, you're just like, wow, it's a pretty dynamic character arc for her in this movie. So yeah, she's really good. She's a star. Connor, did you watch X-Men? Did you want to hang out for X-Men?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's finish up with some X-Men talk. Woo! X-Men, guys. Woo! X-Men 97.
They did the
Best
damn
Marvel
thing with
content.
Wolverine.
Best Marvel content I have seen in years. We're gonna talk full spoilers because you should have watched this by now, and I don't know what you're doing if you haven't. But well, there's like my older brother asked if he watches it. He's like, yeah, but I'm old school. I save it for Saturday morning. So I was like, okay. But which I respect. I respect that. Yeah. Part 2, Matt, I think I wrote in, you know, for us 90s kids, this is crazy. You guys don't even know. Fatal Attractions was like the biggest part of my life in middle school. I thought it was going to happen starting in X-Men 300. I went out in a blizzard. I risked my life and my father's life to go to the comic shop in the middle of a blizzard. I had to claw my way into the shop through a bank of snow. The owner was sitting in there just chilling because he thought he was just snowed in and was like, what are you doing here? I was like, pull my list. And he was like, oh my God, get out of here. And he like
give me that hologram.
Yeah. I went outside. The awning fell, smacked me in the head with the iron bar. I fell. I was like out for a minute, got up, got back to the car. My dad was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like bleeding. I'm like, never mind. Just take me home. Wasn't even the story in X-Men 300. I was like, oh, I had to wait 4 months, but Fatal Attractions happened. And those hologram card covers, I still preserve like they're worth like
I still have them.
20
Yeah, I
million,
know.
right? I got them in the box right behind me. I can go pull them right now. But yeah, to see this on screen, Operation Zero Tolerance, like the battles. I rewatched everything from Bright Eyes up through this finale again, just to see, like last night, just to make sure I wasn't tripping. But no, this show is like one of the best I've seen, and the best vision of the X-Men I've seen ever on screen. And yeah, it's insane. And just Cable, Jean, and Cyclops, Summers family throwdown to the Wolverine. I can't believe they did that. There was a
Yeah,
full
the
on
fact
like
that they
impalement, ripping apart Wolverine. Like, holy crap. Like,
I had to
yeah.
turn the laptop because Ember was watching with me. And it was pretty good up until then, right? It was like normal battle stuff. And then I saw it coming, right? So I went, and I kind of tilted it. I was like, you can't watch this. She's like, why? And I was like, well, it's gonna get a little violent. And boy, it was. They even did the iconic shot, you know? Like, damn, like that's fantastic. I mean, this has been just so well done. And also like that my because I watch these with Ember, it gives me kind of a prism, right, to watch. Like she's been following along this whole journey of Magneto, because at first she was like, why is he in that old costume in the intro? I was like, well, that's when he was a bad guy. And he's like, oh, but he's a good guy now, right? It's like, yeah, he's leading the team, right? And as stuff has unfolded throughout the season, you know, she's like, well, why is he back at, that was the first question she asked. He shows up and he's back in the suit, and she goes, why is he in his bad guy outfit? I was like, well, you know, some things happened. Some people did some really screwed up things, and he's processing. Is what I was saying. And
You should have
like
grabbed
the
her by the
fact,
face, looked her in the eye, and said, Magneto was right.
it's just been really interesting to watch. I mean, they've done such a good job with these arcs. I do love your, you know, not to let, and Kofi referenced it earlier, not to let the cat out of the bag as far as our show layout comments go. But Kofi's mentions of Xavier here, like all anyone needs to do is go read Deadly Genesis to see how much of a tool Xavier is. And you can see it in a bunch of other places as well. But you know, I'm amazed they like have really stuck that landing of showing, like Magneto had that line in the second episode. It was the second episode of like, Scott, like, you're learning, like, just because you know, follow a man's dream doesn't mean he can't be wrong, right? And like there's so much rich stuff here that they've mined. And we get cool Nightcrawler scenes too, you know? Like, it's fantastic. The fact that they do all this in 30 minutes every week is just nuts to me.
Wow, Briarwood said they hit Magneto with the "We still don't trust you. We still don't trust you."
Yeah, it's been impressive.
Oh my god, my voice. Oh, that was terrible. Anyway, yeah. Janelle, what is this doing for you? Because you were again, you know, we are podcast. Anybody who follows along knows, but if anybody's listening new, Janelle has always been. We got her into this by saying we're gonna teach you Cable's origin, which we did do this season, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
And to get her to like X-Men, because she came in like when the Krakoa era was kicking off, and we tried to get her, and she was like, guys, what is happening? And we were like,
There's a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So this has been Janelle's kind of like refresher attempt to get into X-Men. And where are you at now, Jay?
Hooked. I am absolutely hooked. Oh my gosh, the freaking shield. I'm sorry, I know that was last episode, but I just love I really do love like any tie-ins from obviously like our Avengers or any other characters. Like that's a beautiful thing. And we're watching the trailer if you're listening and not watching with us. That's why I brought up Captain America's shield. But I feel like this has done such a spectacular job of being everyone friendly. Honestly, like I feel like if you don't have a huge X-Men background, and maybe even a really limited one, you kind of fall in love with these characters. Each story is like a soap opera. Like we have love triangles, we have drama, we have, you know, mommy and daddy issues, we have, I don't know, abandonment from, you know, your elders. Like this is so emotionally moving, and it's animation. I'm just blown away by this entire series, and obviously this episode was just spectacular. I mean, they're doing something that I've never really experienced with animation. And it's like I feel emotionally moved and so connected to so many characters. There's not just one. Like I don't have a favorite, which is weird. And great and refreshing and just so exciting. And this is rewatchable to me as well. Like I sometimes go back and watch the episode twice, just in case I missed something or just to kind of experience it again because they're short. And I can't say that for a lot of shows, honestly. And even like my favorite Marvel shows, I love Loki, but I only watched it twice. And that's a lot for me. Like to watch, I've seen some of these episodes 3 times and in the like short time that it's been released, which is really cool. So I'm loving this. I'm just like, I can't believe it. They've done such a great job.
They pack so much in that you do find
Yeah.
when you rewatch that you did miss something the first time.
Yeah,
Oh, what was that? Like that's pretty good.
absolutely.
Battle scene. Like I didn't notice the first time in the last episode that Wolverine falls out of the sky and he goes through a bunch of moves that are from the X-Men video game. He does like tornado claw, like as he's coming down. Like there's a bunch of stuff. There's so many Easter eggs in this show.
Wow.
Connor, we haven't checked in with you that often about X-Men 97. What are you thinking?
I'm loving the hell out of it. It's one thing for people to talk about the action scenes, and they're right because they are fantastic. But this show also commands your attention with the writing. And Janelle, you talk about watching it more than once. I kind of have to watch each episode twice because there's stuff I miss each time. And with this one, it's getting across everyone's utter contempt of Xavier. It's Xavier and Magneto once again having the same old argument. And they keep having snappy lines with each other. It's like, I'm not your enemy. The meteor over my house would beg to differ. And then he just clamping his mouth shut and going, Charles, I have wanted to say this for so long. Shut up. It's like,
that is a great line.
Magnus has a point, guys. And then it gets to the fights, and they're some of the best I've seen. So, and then for it to end with a panel that even if you don't read X-Men comics religiously, you've seen that panel. And then they brought it to life. And like Matt said, it's a shot-for-shot remake of it. And it's one of the most graphic scenes I think I've seen in comics. Like when you actually think about what he's doing with the Metal and Magneto skeleton at that time. And this is on a show that's on Disney Plus. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Damn. This is some good stuff.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong about that. It is pretty gnarly. Yeah, I mean, we could just go on and on and on and on. I'm curious
like
to see
Sinister, like this whole Sinister Jean Grey,
which is I couldn't tell if that was like a comic Easter egg because that's literally what we're building to in the comics right now. Is an epic Jean versus Sinister fight. Like, if the Krakoa
this
era
show has
ending
made me
is
like
going to be
that character
Phoenix
again
versus Dominion, and like, and Dominion is Sinister, Phoenix will be Jean, and so we're going to see this fight play out like real soon in like the next few weeks in the comics too. So that was well done, but rewatching the show, it's crazy how good it is. Just like, every point, every little seeding of things, how much they draw back from the animated series and remember everything that happened there. And just nailing how much of a weird tool Charles Xavier is in this one. He just sits around. I don't think he has one successful argument or pitch in this entire episode.
No, not one.
Not one. Not a one. I was like, damn, when he holds out his hand, he's like, everything has led me back here, like you, Scott. And he puts out his hand, Skyclops is like, FOH, like, and just walks out the room. And like, I was like, oh,
like Scott's whole point, right? His first question is like, why would you think that was a good idea? And why would you think it would turn out any other way? And you're sitting there like, say something.
Yeah.
You better say something. And like nothing, got nothing. Because it was such a bad idea. I do want to say, like, Distance, Morph is great. I love how they've been using him.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I
want to say, I think one of the funniest things about this, and I don't give a crap about this, but is you can write a whole dissertation on what Morph's powers are and like where do they start and stop, because it is all over the place, and I love it because it's comic books and it doesn't have to make sense.
They just
really,
don't care.
X-Men's retconned all this to say people like Morph and Mystique don't just copy like shapes.
Yeah.
They're actually copying entire DNA strands of these people.
For that specific reason, because they got so
Exactly.
tired of every time they wanted to do it, they couldn't because they had people going, that's not how that works. He doesn't get Hulk's strength. He just looks like
Well,
him.
that was funny because
yeah.
they did cover that. That was the nerdy thing they did cover. Like Hulk's strength is kind of the gamma irradiated stuff that's in his blood. And so Jean's actually using her telekinesis for him, like throughout that whole sequence. If you go back and watch, like, yeah, but he gets like Quicksilver super speed and Angel's metallic wings, I guess. I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I love every time it's like become such a just a meme thing of people being like, oh crap, this person's an oh, it's Morph. Like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I know. That's what happened when Psylocke popped up.
Yeah,
and I went, Psylocke's here. And I was like, oh damn it, it's Morph.
Yeah, there's been like the Archangel. People were like
Quicksilver ran in,
scene.
it was like, wait, he's here. Nope, still Morph.
It's Morph.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. So yeah, X-Men 97. We'll be talking about the finale. You could check out a lot of great content on the Phase Zero feed. They gotten to talk to Professor Xavier, actor Ross Marquand, the director of a lot of the episodes. They've gotten to talk to, and the other cast members. They've gotten to talk to Morph, the actor who plays Morph. So go check out the Phase Zero feed of the comic book podcasts and go listen to some X-Men 97 stuff over there. All right, that's it for us. We're unusually early for our show to be ending.
Bye, Andrew.
Anybody got any? There's a lot that happened. Anybody got any parting thoughts on anything?
Doctor Who is coming today. I want to talk about it so bad on the podcast, but it's tonight. So hopefully we'll cover that a little bit. Or if you're just a super fan, you want to chat about it, hit me up.
I will be watching that. So we will be talking about it next week for sure.
So excited.
Maybe we need to do like a Monday morning quarterback on it. Like, do we need to do one of those for some Doc Who?
I'm down.
All right,
I'm always down to talk about some Doctor Who.
All right, well, we'll talk about that offline. Anybody? We said we wait for a patron. Anybody want to call out who you got in this battle before we get out of here? I got Kendrick. I think Kendrick played a better chess game.
I don't got anyone. Kendrick won this.
Yeah,
I don't even think it's
one-sided. Kendrick dominated.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, Kendrick is now the Kansas City Chiefs of rap, hated by all, but still dominating. All right.
Damn right.
I'm going to go do my research. I know nothing. I'm like, Kobe, please send me links. I don't know anything.
I mean, I was trying to be diplomatic. I'm a longtime Drake fan, but I mean, you got one. Yeah, they not like other podcasts. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. We do it all for geek culture. They not like us. They not like us. Go check out Comic Book Nation. We are a whole nation of podcasts. In addition to this live show where you can clearly hear or see us having fun, we also do Anime Initiative, our big new anime show, which is caught on with the culture and is done every Tuesday. On Wednesday, Matt and I hop on and pull the best comics of the week to discuss on the pull list, which program notes. We're going to be doing some more audio. We're going to be kind of cutting up more audio content versus video content based on just kind of like production time, needs, all that stuff. So we're going to be doing pull lists in an audio focused format, which I'm kind of excited about because instead of just telling you guys and showing you pages, we're going to get into some nitty gritty topics of these comics. So that's going to be great. Quick Save is our gaming segment where you can still find hit topics like, you know, the new Xbox news, the Fallout, future of Fallout, the Fallout TV show spoiler cast, Knuckles review. Matt jumped in there and did Knuckles, and yeah, a bunch of good gaming and gaming media related content on our Quick Save show. Plus, you can always find us back here on the live show. We got an Acolyte after show coming up for that Star Wars run, so get that set now because me and Jamie love it, and other people are going to be getting into High Republic. So now's the time to subscribe on all your podcast platforms. And we're on them all: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartMedia. So subscribe to Comic Book Nation and get in where you fit in. And everybody seems to be. So thank you guys. All right. For my main show hosts with the most, I will see you guys this week multiple times. But everybody have a great weekend. Watch some great content. Read some great comics. And get outside and touch some grass and do something fun too. All right. We're out of here. Peace.